Good evening, everybody. Tonight I'm going to continue reading from the book, The Prophet. But before I do, I would like to talk directly to my brothers and sisters in uniform, and also those of you who no longer wear the uniform. I understand the weight you carry. The demands of service can take an immense toll, both physically and mentally. You've witnessed and experienced things that most civilians cannot comprehend. That burden can feel overwhelming at times. Being ex-military myself, I know the darkness you may be feeling. The anxiety, the stress, the depression. It's a weight that can seem impossible to bear alone. But I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. We're in this together. We will all get through this if we stand united. In your darkest moments, when you feel like giving up, I urge you to pause. Don't do anything irreversible. Your life has value, and there are people who care about you, people who want to help you through this. Reach out to a friend, a family member, a counselor. Let us share your load and help lighten your burden. You are strong. You're resilient. You have faced challenges that would break lesser individuals. You can overcome this too, but you don't have to do it alone. We're here for you, and together we can find a way back to the light. The words I'm about to share come from a celebrated work called The Prophet. This is the second reading I'm going to be doing from this book. I'll link the first reading down below in case you missed it. While written long ago, this book's poetic wisdom still rings true today, offering guidance and solace to those struggling through dark times. As you listen, let these words wash over you. Open your heart and mind to their deeper meaning. Though the path ahead may seem uncertain, have faith that you possess an inner strength to overcome any obstacle. You are not walking the path alone. We are all united in our shared human experience of suffering and perseverance. Take a few deep breaths. Allow yourself to be present in this moment. You carry heavy burdens, but for now, lay them down and be at peace. Two things before we begin. Firstly, while literature and reading can be therapeutic and does help, it should not be viewed as a substitute for professional treatment, especially when the anxiety becomes overwhelming. This reading is intended to be a complementary practice, a gentle companion to any other interventions you may be utilizing on your journey towards inner peace. Secondly, if you enjoy the video, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel so that eventually we can become a solid community where we help each other through difficult times with meditation, mindfulness, and self-healing. Also, if you have a story you would like to hear, and if it's public domain, drop a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Grab yourself a cushion, and if it's a nice evening where you are, take me with you. Let's go sit outside. If you don't have an outside, that's also okay. Sit anywhere quiet, as long as you're comfortable. Switch off notifications on your phone. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and relax. The Prophet, second reading. And an orator said, "Speak to us of freedom." And he answered, "At the city gate, and by your fireside, I have seen you prostrate yourself and worship your own freedom. Even as slaves humble themselves before a tyrant and praise him though he slays them. In the grove of its temple, and in the shadow of the citadel, I have seen the freest among you wear their freedom as a yoke and a handcuff. And my heart bled within me, for you can only be free when even the desire of seeking freedom becomes a harness to you, and when you cease to speak of freedom as a goal and fulfillment. You shall be free indeed, when your days are not without a care, nor your nights without a want and a grief. But rather when these things girdle your life, and yet you rise above them naked and unbound. And how shall you rise beyond your days and nights unless you break the chains which you, at your dawn of your understanding, have fastened around your noon hour? In truth, that which you call freedom is the strongest of these chains, though its links are glitter in the sun and dazzle your eyes. And what is it but fragments of your own self you would discard that you may become free? If it was an unjust law you would abolish, that law was written with your own hand upon your own forehead. You cannot erase it by burning the law books or washing the foreheads of the judges, though you even pour the sea upon them. And if it was a despot you would dethrone, see first that his throne erected within you is destroyed. For how can a tyrant rule the free and the proud, but for a tyranny in their own freedom and a shame in their own pride? And if it is a care you would cast off, that card has been chosen by you rather than imposed upon you. And if it was a fear that you would dispel, the seat of fear is in your heart and not in the hand of the feared. Verily, all things move within your being in a constant embrace, desired and the dreaded, the repugnant and the cherished, pursued, that which you cannot escape. These things move within you as lights and shadows in pairs that cling. And when the shadow fades and is no more, the light that lingers becomes a shadow to another light. And thus, your freedom, when it loses its fetters, becomes itself the fetterer of greater freedom. And the priest spoke again and said, Speak to us of reason and passion. He answered, saying, Your soul is ofttimes a battlefield, upon which your reason and your judgment wages war against your passion and your appetite. Would that I could be a peacemaker in your soul, that I might turn the discord and the rivalry of your elements into oneness of animality. But how shall I, unless you yourselves be also the peacemakers, nay, the lovers of all your elements? Your reason and your passion are the rudder and sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder is broken, you can toss and drift, or else be held at a standstill in mid-sea. For reason, ruling alone, is a force confining. Passion, unattended, is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Therefore, let your soul exalt your reason to the height of passion, that it may sing, and let it direct your passion with reason, that your passion may live through its own daily resurrection, and like the phoenix rises above its own ashes. I would have you consider your judgment and your appetite, even as though you would two loved guests in your house. Surely you would not honor one guest above another, for he who is more mindful of one loses the love and the faith of both. Among the hills, when you sit in the cool shade of the white poplars, sharing the peace and serenity of distant fields and meadows, then let your heart say in silence, God rests in reason. And when the storm comes, and the mighty wind shakes the forest, and thunder and lightning proclaim the majesty of the sky, then let your heart say in awe, God moves in passion. And since you are a breath in God's sphere, and a leaf in God's forest, you too shall rest in reason and move in passion. And the woman spoke and said, Tell us of pain. And he said, Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding, even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun. you must know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life? Your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And would you accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields? And would you watch with serenity through the winters of your grief? Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. And the cup he brings, though it may burn your lips, has been fashioned of the clay which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. And the man said, "Speak to us of self-knowledge." And the prophet answered, saying, "Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and nights, but your ears thirst for the sound of your heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have always known in thought. You would touch with your fingers the naked body of your dreams, and it is well you should. The hidden wellspring of your soul must needs rise and run murmuring to the sea, and the treasure of your infinite depths will be revealed to your eyes. But let there not be scales to weight your unknown treasure, and seek the depths of knowledge with your staff of sounding line. For self is a sea, boundless and measureless. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul, but rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. Your soul enfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Then said the teacher, "Speak to us of teaching." He said, "No man can reveal to you aught, but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. Teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not the wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. The astronomer may speak to you of his understanding of space, but he cannot give you his understanding. The musician may sing to you of the rhythm which is in all space, but he cannot give you the ear which arrests the rhythm, nor the voice that echoes it. And he who is versed in the science of numbers can tell you of the regions of weight and measure, but he cannot conduct you thither, for the vision of one man lends not its wings to another man. And as each one of you stands alone in God's knowledge, so must each one of you be alone in the knowledge of God and in his understanding of the earth." The youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." He answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field, which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the aye. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his art. For without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plains. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. But love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know the flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him without hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live, for it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. And then the scholar said, speak to us of talking. You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts. And when you can no longer dwell in the solitude of your heart, you live in your lips. The sound is a diversion and a pastime. And in much of your talking, thinking is half murdered, for thought is a bird of space, that in a cage of words may indeed unfold its wings but cannot fly. There are those among you who seek to talk to through fear of being alone. The silence of aloneness reveals to their eyes their naked selves they would escape. And there are those who talk without knowledge and forethought, reveal truth which they themselves do not understand. There are those of you that have the truth within them, but they tell it not in words. In the bosom of such as these, the spirit dwells in rhythmic silence. When you meet your friend on the roadside or in the marketplace, let the spirit in you move your lips and direct your tongue. Let the voice within your voice speak to the ear of his ear, for his soul will keep the truth of your heart, as the taste of the wine is remembered, when the color is forgotten and the vessel is no more. And the astronomer said, Master, what of time? He answered, you should measure time with the measureless and the immeasurable. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to the hours and the seasons. Of time, you would make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch its flowing. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream. And that which sings and contemplates in you, still dwelling within the bounds that first moment which scattered the stars into space. Who among you does not feel that his power to love is boundless? And yet, who does not feel that very love, though boundless, encompassed within the center of his being, and moving not from love through love, nor from love's deeds to other love's deeds? Who does not feel that the very love, though boundless, encompassed within the very center of the being, and moving not through love but to love, nor from love's deeds to other love's deeds? And is not time, even as love is, undivided, paceless? But in your thoughts you must measure time into seasons. Let each season encircle all the other seasons, and let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. And one of the elders in the city said, speak to us of good and evil. And he answered, of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil but good tortures by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food even in the dark caves. When it thirsts, it drinks even from dead waters. You are good when you are at one with yourself. Yet, when you are not at one with yourself, you are not evil. For a divided house is not a den of thieves, it is only a divided house. And a ship without a rudder may wander aimlessly among the perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. You are good when you strive to give of yourself. Yet, you are not evil when you seek to gain for yourself. For when you strive to gain, you are but a root that clings to the earth and sucks at her breast. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, be like me, ripe and full, and ever giving in your abundance. For to the fruit giving is need, as receiving is the need for the root. You are good when you are fully awake in your speech, yet you are not evil when you sleep. While your tongue staggers without purpose, and even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly with bold steps, yet you are not evil when you go thither limping. Even those who limp go not backward. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the blame, deeming it kindness. You are good in countless ways, and yet you are not evil when you are not good. You are only loitering and sluggard. Pity the stags cannot teach swiftness to the turtles. In your longing for your giant self lies your goodness, and that longing is in all of you. But in some of you, that longing is a torrent rushing with might to the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides and the songs of the forest. Yet, and in others, it is a flat stream that loses itself in angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to him who longs little, wherefore are you slow and halting? For the truly good ask not the naked, where is your garment, nor the houseless, what has befallen your house. Then the priestess said, speak to us of prayer. And he answered, saying, you pray in your distress and your need. Would that you might pray also in your fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And if it is for your comfort to pour the darkness into space, it is also for your delight that you pour forth the drawing of your heart. And if you cannot weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spur you again and again through weeping until you shall come laughing. When you pray, you rise to meet in the air those who are praying at that hour, and whom save in prayer you may not meet. Therefore, let your visit to the temple be invisible, be for naught but the ecstasy and the sweet communion. If you should enter the temple for no other purpose than asking, you shall not receive. And if you should enter into it to humble yourself, you shall not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the goodness of others, you shall not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray in words. God listens not to the words, save when He Himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of the seas and the forests and the mountains, but you who are born of the mountains and the forests and the seas can find their prayer in your heart. And if you but listen to the stillness of the night, you shall hear them saying in silence, Our God, who art the winged self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days, which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, but thou knowest our needs before they are even born to us. Thou art in need, and in giving us more of thyself, thou givest us all. Then the hermit who visited the city once a year came forth and said, Speak to us of pleasure. And the prophet answered, saying, Pleasure is a freedom song, but it is not freedom. It is the blossoming of your ideas, but it is not their fruit. It is the depth calling unto the height, but it is not the deep nor the high. It is the cage taking wing, but it is not space encompassed. In the very truth, pleasure is a freedom song, and I fain would have you sing it with fullness of heart. Yet I would not have you lose your hearts in singing. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all, and they are judged and rebuked. I would not judge nor rebuke them, for they shall find pleasure, but not her alone. 7 are her sisters, and at least one of them is more beautiful than pleasure. Have you not heard of the man who was digging the earth for roots and found a treasure? And some of your elders remember pleasures with regret, like wrongs committed while in drunkenness. But regret is beclouding of the mind, and is not chastisement. They should remember their pleasures with gratitude, as they would harvest a summer. Yet, if it comforts them to regret, let them be comforted. And there are among you those who are neither too young to seek nor too old to remember, and in the fear of seeking and remembering they shun all pleasures, lest they neglect the spirit or offend against it. But even in the foregoing of pleasure, and thus they too find a treasure, though they dig for roots with quivering hands. But tell me, who is he that can offend the spirit? Shall the nightingale offend the stillness of the night, or the firefly the stars? And shall your flame or your smoke burden the wind? Think you the spirit is a pool, which you can trouble with a staff? Oftentimes in denying yourself a pleasure, you do not but store the desire in the recess of your being. Who knows but that which seems omitted today waits for tomorrow? Even your body knows its heritage and its rightful need and will not be deceived. Your body is the harp of your soul, and it is yours to bring forth sweet music from it or confused sounds. And now you ask in your heart, how should we distinguish that which is good in pleasure from that which is not good? Go to your fields and your gardens, and you shall learn that it is the pleasure of the bee to gather the honey of the flower, but it is also the pleasure of the flower to yield its honey to the bee. For to the bee a flower is a fountain of life, and to the flower a bee is a messenger of love. And to both, bee and flower, the giving and receiving of pleasure is a need and an ecstasy. People of Orphalese, be in your pleasures like the flowers and the bees. And a poet said, speak to us of beauty. And he answered, where shall you seek beauty? And how shall you find her unless she herself be your way and your guide? And how shall you speak to her except she be the weaver of your speech? The aggrieved and the injured say, beauty is kind and gentle. Like a young mother half shy in her own glory, she walks among us. And the passion say, nay, beauty is a thing of might and dread. Like the tempest, she shakes the earth beneath us and the sky above us. The tired and the weary shall say, beauty is of soft whisperings. She speaks in our spirit. Her voice yields to our silences like the faint light that quivers in fear of the shadow. But the restless say, we have heard her shouting among the mountains. And with her cries came the sounds of hoofs and the beating of wings and the roaring of lions. And at night the watchmen of the city say, beauty shall rise with the dawn from the east. And at the noontide the toilers and the wayfarers say, we have seen her leaning over the earth from the windows of the sunset. In winter the snowbound, she shall come with the spring leaping upon the hills. And in the summer heat the reapers say, we have seen her dancing with the autumn leaves, and we saw a drift of snow in her hair. All these things have you said of beauty. Yet, in truth, you spoke not of her, but of needs unsatisfied. And beauty is not a need or an ecstasy. It is not a mouth thirsting, nor an empty hand stretching forth, but rather a heart inflamed and a soul enchanted. It is not the image you would see, nor the song you would hear, but rather an image you would see through your closed eyes, and a song you hear through your shut ears. It is not sap within the furrowed bark, nor wing attached to a claw, but rather a garden forever in bloom, and a flock of angels forever in flight. People of all Orphalese, beauty is life, when life unveils her holy face. But you are life, and you are the veil. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. But you are eternity, and you are the mirror. Old priest said, "Speak to us of religion." And he said, "Have I spoken this day of aught else? Is not religion all deeds, all reflections, and that which is neither deed nor reflection, but a wonder and a surprise ever springing in the soul, even while the hands hew the stone and tend the loom? Who can separate his faith from his actions, or his belief from his occupations? Who can spread his hours before him, saying, 'This for God, and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body?' All of your hours are wings that beat through space from self to self. He who wears his morality, but as his best garment, were better naked. The wind and the sun will tear no holes in his skin. And he who defines his conduct by ethics, imprisoned by a songbird in the cage. The freest song comes through bars and wires, and he that to whom worshipping is a window, to open but also to shut, has not yet visited the house of his soul, whose windows are from dawn to dawn. Your daily life is your temple and your religion. Whenever you enter into it, take with you your all. Take the plough and the forge, and the mallet and the lute, the things you have fashioned in necessity for delight. For even in reverie, you cannot rise above your achievements, or fall lower than your failures. And take with you all men, for in adoration you cannot fly higher than their hopes, nor humble yourself lower than their despair. And if you would not know God, be not therefore a solver of riddles. Rather, look about you, and you shall see him playing with your children. And look into space, you shall see him walking in the cloud, outstretch his arms in the lightning and descending in rain. You shall see him smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in the trees. Then Almitra spoke, saying, "We would ask now of death." And he said, "You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? The owl, whose night-bound eyes are blind upon the day, cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you would indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond. And like seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate of eternity. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. Is the shepherd not joyful beneath his trembling that he shall wear the mask of the king? Yet is he not more mindful of his trembling? For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand to seek God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain top, then shall you begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. It was now evening, and our meter, the seer, said, Blessed be this day, and this place, and your spirit that has spoken. And he answered, Was it I who spoke? Was I not also the listener? Then he descended the steps of the temple, and all the people followed him. And he reached his ship and stood upon the deck. And facing the people again, he raised his voice and said, People of Orphalese, the wind bids me leave you. Less hasty am I than the wind, yet I must go. We wanderers, ever seeking the lonelier way, we wanderers, ever seeking the lonelier way, begin no day where we've ended another day, and no sunrise finds us where the sunset left us. Even while the earth sleeps, we travel. We are the seeds of the tenacious plant, and it is our ripeness and our fullness of heart that we are given to the wind and are scattered. Brief were my days among you, and briefer still the words I have spoken. But should my voice fade in your ears, and my love vanish in your memory, then I will come again, and with a richer heart and lips more yielding to the Spirit will I speak. Yea, I shall return on the tide. And though death may hide me, and the greater silence enfold me, yet again I will seek your understanding, and not in vain will I seek. If what I have said is truth, then truth shall reveal itself in a clearer voice, and the words more kin to your thoughts. I go with the wind, people of Orphalese, but not down into emptiness. And if this day is not fulfillment of your needs and my love, then let it be a promise until another day. Man's needs change, but not his love. Not his desire that his love should satisfy his needs. Know, therefore, that from the greater silence I shall return. The mist that drifts away at dawn, leaving but you in the fields, shall rise and gather into a cloud and fall down as rain. And not unlike the mist have I been. In the stillness of the night I have walked in your streets, and my spirit has entered your houses, and your heartbeats were in my heart, and your breath was upon my face, and I knew you all. I knew your joy, I knew your pain, and in your sleep your dreams were my dreams, and oft times I was among you at the lake among the mountains. I mirrored the summits in you and the bending slopes, and even the passing flocks of your thoughts and desires. And to my silence came the laughter of your children in streams, and the longing of your youths in rivers. And when they reached my depth, the streams and the rivers ceased not yet to sing. But sweeter still than laughter, and greater than longing came to me. It was boundless in you. The vast man in whom you are, all but cells and sinews, he in whose chant all singing is but soundless and throbbing. It is in the vast man that you are vast, and in him, beholding, I beheld you and loved you. For what distance can love reach that are not in that vast sphere? What visions, what expectations, and what presumptions can outsoar that flight? Like a giant oak covered in apple blossoms is a vast man in you. His might binds you to the earth. His fragrance lifts you into space. And in his durability, you are deathless. You have been told that even like a chain, you are as weak as your weakest link. This is but half the truth. You are also strong as your strongest link. To measure you by your smallest deed is to reckon the power of the ocean by the frailty of his foam. To judge you by your failures is to cast blame upon the seasons for the inconsistency. Aye, you are like the ocean, and though heavy-grounded ships await the tide upon your shores, yet, even like an ocean, you cannot hasten your tides. And like the seasons you are also, and though in your winter you deny your spring, yet spring, reposing within you, smiles in her drowsiness, and is not offended. Think not I say these things in order that you may say the one to another, he praised us well, he saw but the good in us. I only speak to you in words of that which you yourselves know and thought. And what is the word of knowledge but a shadow of wordless knowledge? Your thoughts and my words are waves from a sealed memory that keeps records of our yesterday, and of the ancient days when the earth knew not but herself, and of nights when the earth was upraught through confusion. Wise men have come to you to give you of their wisdom. I came to take of your wisdom, and behold, I have found that which is greater than wisdom. It is a flame spirit in you, ever gathering more of itself, while you, heedless of its expansion, bewail the withering of your days. It is life in quest of life, in bodies that fear the grave. There are no graves here. These mountains and plains are cradle and stepping stones. Whether you pass by the field where you have laid your ancestors, look well thereupon, and you shall see yourselves and your children dancing hand in hand. Verily, you often make merry without knowing. Others have come to you whom have golden promises made unto your faith, and have given but riches and power of glory. Less than a promise have I given, and yet more generous have you been to me. You have given me my deeper thirsting after life. Surely there is no greater gift to a man that which turns all his aims into parched lips, and all his life into a fountain. And in this lies my honor and my reward, that whenever I come to the fountain to drink, I find the living water itself thirsty, and it drinks me while I drink it. Some of you have deemed me proud and overshy to receive gifts. Too proud, indeed, am I to receive wages, but not gifts. And though I have eaten berries among the hills, when you would have me sit at your board, and slept in the portico of the temple, when you would gladly have sheltered me, yet was it not in the loving mindfulness of my days and my nights that made my food sweet in your mouth, and girdled my sleep with my visions. For this I bless you most. You give much, and know not that you have given at all. Verily, the kindness that gazes upon itself in a mirror turns to stone, and a good deed that calls itself by tender names shall become the parent to a curse. Some of you have called me aloof, and drunk with my own aloneness, and you have said, He holds counsel with trees of the forest, but not with man. He sits alone on the hilltops and looks down upon our city. True, it is that I have climbed the walls and walked in remote places. How could I have seen you save from greater height or great distance? How can one be indeed near unless he be far? And others among you who called upon me, not in words, and they said, Stranger, lover of unreachable heights, why dwell you among the summits where eagles build their nests? Why seek you the unattainable? What storms would you trap in your net, and what vaporous birds do you hunt in the sky? Come, be one of us, descend, and appease your hunger with our bread, and quench your thirst with our wine. In the solitude of their souls, they said these things, but were the solitude deeper, they would have known that I sought but the secret of your joy and your pain. And I hunted only your larger selves that walked the sky. But the hunter was also the hunted, for many of my arrows left my bow only to seek my own breast. And the flyer who was also the creeper, for when my wings were spread in the sun, their shadow upon the earth was a turtle. And I, the believer, was also the doubter, for often have I put my finger in my own wound, that I might have a greater belief in you and a greater knowledge of you. And it is with belief and this knowledge that I say, you are not enclosed within your bodies, nor confined to the houses and the fields. That which is you dwells above the mountain and roves with the wind. It is not a thing that crawls into the sun for warmth or digs holes into the darkness for safety, but a spirit that envelops earth and moves in its ether. If these be vague words, then seek not to clear them. Vague and nebulous is the beginning of all things, but not their end. And I fain would have you remember me as the beginning. Life and all that lives is conceived in the mist and not in the crystal. And who knows but a crystal is mist in decay. This would I have you remember in remembering me. That which seems most feeble and bewildered in you is the strongest and the most determined. Is it not your breath that is erected and hardened the structure of your bones? And is it not a dream which none of you remember having dreamt, that built your city and fashioned all there is in it? Could you but see the tides of your breath, you would cease to see all else. And if you could hear the whispering of the dream, you would hear no other sound. But you do not see, nor do you hear, and it is well. The veil that clouds your eyes shall be lifted by the hands that wove it, and the clay that fills your ears shall be pierced by those fingers that kneaded it, and you shall see, and you shall hear. Yet you shall not deplore having known blindness, nor regret having been deaf. For in that day you shall know the hidden purpose in all things, and you shall bless the darkness as you would bless the light. And after saying these things, he looked around him, and he saw the pilot of his ship standing in the helm, gazing now at the full sails, and now in the distance. And he said, Overpatient is the captain of my ship. The wind blows, and the restless are the sails. Even the rudder begs direction. Yet quietly my captain waits my silence. And these, my mariners, who have heard the choir of the greater sea, they too have heard me patiently. Now they shall wait no longer. I am ready. The stream has reached the sea, and once more the great mother holds her son against her breast. Fare you well, people of Orphalese. This day is ended. It is closing upon us, even as the water lily upon its own tomorrow. What has given us here shall we keep, and if it suffices not, then again we must come together, and together stretch our hands unto the giver. Forget not that I shall come back to you. A little while, and my longing shall gather dust and foam from another body. A little while, a moment rests upon the wind, and another woman shall bear me. Farewell to you and the youth I have spent with you. It was but yesterday we met in a dream. You have sung to me in my aloneness, and I of your longings have built a tower in the sky. But now our sleep has fled, and our dream is over, and it is no longer dawn. The noontide is upon us, and our half-waking has turned into fuller day, and we must part. With the twilight of memory we shall meet once more. We shall speak again together, and you shall sing to me my deepest song. And if our hands should meet in another dream, we shall build another tower in the sky. So saying, he made the signal to the seamen, and straightway they weighed anchor and cast the ship loose from its moorings. And they moved eastward. And the cry came from the people as from a single heart, and it rose into the dusk, and was carried over the sea like a great duck trumpeting. Only Almitra was silent, gazing after the ship until it vanished into the mist. And when all the people were dispersed, she still stood alone upon the sea wall, remembering in her heart, he sang, "A little while, a moment of rest upon the wind, and another woman shall bear me." I hope this reading of the prophet provided you with some feelings of hope, calm, and self-acceptance. Remember, the struggles you go through are part of human journey. Have self-compassion. Utilize all the tools at your disposal. Keep opening your heart to the present moment. Until next time, keep looking towards the stars and seek peace. Good night.